All right, let's get started. We're starting a little bit late, but we're meeting with Akio Aoki, who is a gallerist and curator from São Paulo, Brazil, and I think we're going to have to go a little short, but let's go fast and see how much we can cover. Akio, welcome. How are you?
Thank you, thank you. I'm sorry for everyone being late. I am having some problems, technical problems here, so I decided to call. Thank you. I'm fine, thank you. It's very cold here in Brazil.
Good, I'm glad you're here. I don't think I've ever seen anybody in Brazil wearing a parka. How cold is it in Sao Paulo? It must be cold.
Yeah, it is, I think, well, it is in centigrade. It's around 15 degrees centigrade.
All right, so you're in the upper 50s. That's not bad. Let me ask you some questions. So you're in Brazil. Are you Brazilian? Were you raised in Brazil?
No, I am Brazilian. I was born here and raised here.
And were you always interested in the arts? Were you always interested in visual art as a child?
Not really, no. No. I don't have that this romantic background, if I say. So this is it was a decision made actually when I was I think I don't know 8 years ago. I started. I thought it was a good idea to join the gallery to make it international. The Vermelho gallery had already 3 years in existence, and one of the partners asked me to come to join the gallery because they wanted. Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. Because they wanted to what?
No, because they wanted to make it more international.
What were you doing?
I was the chief for marketing at the Toyota Auto Company for Latin America.
How much did you know about art when you joined the gallery?
Oh, I knew because I was kind of very, very small collector, and but I had a lot of artist friends since college, because in Brazil I did visual arts college, but I didn't follow the career, and I left the area. Then I came back.
How has the gallery changed since you've been a part of the gallery for 8 years? What have you done? How has it changed?
Well, business-wise, it's changed from I don't know. I think nearly 8 times larger.
Okay.
Than it was when I joined. We were 5 people. And now we are 18 people working, and sales-wise and price-wise, we gain a lot of strength, much more strength.
Are you one of the owners?
Yes, I'm one of the partners, yes. Yes, I am.
And do all the partners work for the gallery?
Yes, yes. No one, different from many galleries, no one are filthy rich, and we try to work quite harsh and hard to make a good living for everyone.
How do you define the mission of the gallery? What is the purpose of the gallery? Where are the artists from?
Well, I think if the galleries, it took quite a while to understand what the gallery was, besides sending and selling art to collectors. But since the beginning, we try to see the artist very, very close. And what happened is that to see it very close made us think of their careers and not their artwork. Sometimes an artist, an artist can do a very, very good work, artwork. They can do a medium work. They can do a bad work. But we have to support, and we have to, I don't know how to say this, but when we represent a career in an artist, we have to know that an artist has up and downs. Sometimes they do, the first show is a very good show, a second show is a more or less good show, a medium show, then the third show is a very good show, and then a fourth one is a not very good show. And I think we have to be there to support. It's up to maybe to the secondary market to think that piece of work, it's a good work, or it's a not good work, or it's a very good series. But for us in the primary market, we have to see that as a very good work, no matter if in history that work is not so good. And so I think that's one of the things I think we understood now, is that once you are in the primary market, our mission is for people to see well and understand the artist itself. So most of collectors that we have, we are in São Paulo, we do have quite a lot of collectors. They come to see artists, and they ask for artist work and not something pretty that goes well with their curtain or with the sofa. But I don't know if it helps to see. I don't know, Paul. I don't know if I was clear on that. I'm sorry.
No, I think you're clear enough. What I find interesting, it looks to me like all of the artists you work with are Brazilian. Is that true?
Latin America. We do have like 4 Argentinians. Apart from Brazilian, we have Argentinian, Chilean, Mexican, Colombian things. So we try to be a very good hub for Latin American artists. But we try.
I'm interested, in how much of an international market do the artists have?
So what we do is we have Brazilian market is quite strong, and they can buy everything. So what we do is that we have placed a reserve, a quota for Brazil of 60%. So 60% of all series is it's sold in Brazil. When the other 40% goes, so in this 40% goes abroad. Inside this 40%, 20% goes to Latin America, because we have a very good base in Colombia, Argentina, Venezuela, Peru, Mexico, Costa Rica a bit. And then the other 20%, we take these to the established markets, which are in Europe and the US. So what we try to do is to manage market and have a market share, so that we can balance and make a good balance on distribution and price. So we don't we are not we try not to be just Brazilian art or Brazilian-based selling art, just in case we go to crisis or something. So we try to manage and establish the market like this for our artists.
How do you go about creating an international market for an artist who does not have an international market?
So what we do, for example, now, all the shows that we do photos, image shots, and we have around 650 curator lists from museums worldwide. So every show, after the end of every show, which takes around 3 weeks and a half, we send to all curators worldwide the text and shots from the exhibition in the gallery. Apart from that, we do 11 art fairs per year outside Brazil, outside São Paulo, outside the gallery. So we do Frieze, London, New York, Basel. Then we do Mexico, which is in Mexico, Argentina Art Fair, Peruvian Art Fair, Colombian Art Fair, and then Madrid. We did once France, but we didn't like. So we have the commercial front, which goes to art fairs, and in all art fairs we have one person who is going to take care of curators and make all the meetings with curators, having dinners, breakfast, brunches, or whatever with curators. And the other two focused on sales in art fairs. So, for example, we will go next month, in 2 months' time, to Frieze London. It will be our 6th time or 7th time. And we go with 3 people. One only to take care of the museums, curators, and 2 for sales. I don't know if it makes sense, but we try to make more sense in that sense. We try to do that somehow.
Do you reciprocate? I mean, are you showing artists from other countries in Brazil? I mean, are you showing? My sense is that most of the artists you work with do not have a large reputation when they begin working with your gallery. Are there artists?
Yes,
that's true. Are there artists who have a large reputation that you do try to show in Brazil, that you see in other art fairs, or not? Or is it mostly your program that you're trying to get out?
No, it's mainly our program. Now, our next show will be very, very international. We have called a curator based in Paris. She will do a show, I think, with 8 artists. I haven't seen all the art pieces because it didn't get there. It's called Suspicious Mind, and it's all about crime. But in general, it's the opposite. We don't bring artists for one show. We don't do. I mean, it's very difficult for us to pick up, for example, one artist because it's a very good artist, and then from that part make a show and try to sell it. We don't see this as something that it could work because our collectors that we talk with, they don't buy in the first show. They usually tend not to buy in the second show. They start buying during the 3rd show after 6 years. They started to buy the first show. And then afterwards they buy some pieces from the 2nd show, and then piece from the third show, which I don't know if this is what happens in the U.S. or in your market. But in Brazil, it's very, very difficult for a collector just to say, oh, I love that piece, I'm going to buy and I'm going to start to collect this artist. They really take at least 2 or 3 shows to start to buy professionally the art pieces. So I don't know if I answer your questions, but it is quite difficult for us to bring a new artist, even established artists, out of the blue and to present in the gallery. I think it wouldn't work. We did a few times and it didn't really work. So I don't know.
In terms of the number of art fairs you are doing, how much of the gallery's inventory is sold in Brazil, and how much of it is sold outside Brazil?
So we try to make this connection of 60% we sell art pieces to Brazil and
the 40%
outside Brazil. But in terms of sales and money-wise, we don't do money in the art fairs. We try to be even, and we probably money-wise, outside Brazil would respond 20.
You just froze. I don't know if you can hear me or not. I can't hear you at the moment. I heard a sound. So, are you there? That was breaking up a little bit. I don't know if we'll be able to hear you on the recording or not. I'm trying to wait for it to pause. What I find interesting, I think, is that most galleries that are not participating in the American market are trying to include parts of it or play into it or use portions of it in their presentations. And I think for your gallery, that's different. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Let's see if I stop sharing that. Huh. Akio, are you coming back?
Yeah.
I can barely hear you every 20 seconds. Let's hang tight a moment, folks, and see if it gets better enough to continue. Akio, you're frozen on this end. I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me or not. While we wait for Akio, does anybody else? Do you get what I'm saying here? I think it's really interesting that this is a gallery that's in Brazil, that 40% of their income is coming from sales outside Brazil, solely with Brazilian artists. I find that pretty interesting. Does somebody want to comment or ask me a question, maybe while we're waiting to see if Akio's connection gets better? Sabine, did you want to ask something? Sri, you're unmuted. Do you want to say something?
Yeah.
No.
I had a question.
Well, here, too. Let's go with Sabine. Go ahead, Sabine.
I don't have a question, sorry.
No worries, thank you.
I don't have one.
Okay. Sri, go ahead. Sri, did you want to say something? No? You muted yourself. I guess that means you didn't. Akio, can you hear me yet? It's cutting out. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Hello, hello? Akio, I'm waiting to see if it gets better.
Well,
there you go.
somehow I can hear you very, very well, but I can, but I don't know. You are not having this.
I can hear you now. Now I cannot see
Oh,
you,
okay.
but so let's go with the sound. Okay. So.
Okay,
I mean,
right.
So what I'm wondering about is, now I'm thinking about other galleries. Mostly, I mean, I don't have a lot of familiarity with South American galleries. I know another gallery or two in Sao Paulo. But most European galleries are trying to play into the American market more than I think they're playing into the global market. I see that you're playing more into the global market than the American market. Do you agree? Is that a conscious strategy?
Not really, no. In the U.S., we do Miami, Basel, and we do Freeze, New York. So we do the main fairs in the U.S. So we think it is quite important, the U.S. market. And we do have, we think, if possible, the market in the U.S. became quite strong again, which is quite good for us. And also, I think probably in worldwide, this is the most important market in the world. So yes, we think US as a priority, and not just because of the sales, but because they are, I don't know how to say this, but it's very different. People go to New York, for example, they go to MoMA, they go to Chicago, and they go to the university. They go to Miami, trying to get things better. But I think the U.S. is very, very open to buy art and to see art that are different from their own country, which is quite unique. I think UK and the US has a very, very different, for us it's a very important market. I don't know if I answered that.
That's okay, but are you doing more than the art fairs? Are you trying to get those artists into American art galleries and European art galleries? Or is it mostly that they'll still be seen in Brazil?
Oh, I see what you mean, connecting with other galleries. We don't, we would love to do, to share artists with galleries in the US or elsewhere. However, we found it is very difficult because I don't know how to say this, but they only want to sell. So, for example, if we are selling very well one artist, they immediately come after and wants to try to represent him a very specific series. So, for example, the artists that are representing Brazil in the Venice Biennial now, he has a lot of galleries, including American-based gallery, both San Francisco, LA, and New York. They asked us to do a show with them, but they only wanted to do the show using the pieces from the Venice Biennale and not represent the artists. So they want to make the sales, and they don't want to show the artist's work.
So what do you do in that situation?
Sorry?
What do you do? What do you do about that?
I refused. I refused all the invitations because then to sell a show from Venice Biennial, it's very, very easy. I have a queuing list of people wanting to buy the art piece from there, and this is, I don't know, you know, he has series that it's quite difficult to see, like naked male body, all chopped. And you know, if a gallery comes and understands his body of work and say, "Wow, that work looks very interesting. This makes sense in his career. I want to show the pieces by the Venice Biennial plus 2 or 3 other series." I would love to have that. I would love to have the guy, you know, to be shown in the U.S. into a larger audience other than the art fair. But it doesn't happen. I mean, people really want to have the you know, I don't know, the pieces that are easier to sell, and I don't think this is a representation. So I don't know.
Okay. Do you feel like this is typical? I mean, I think of many American galleries are the way you describe the American gallery you're talking about. Brazilian galleries more like you, or more like the American galleries?
No, they are more like the Americans.
So you're special. And you would say for you then that making money is not the gallery's main priority. You want to be good for the artist's career.
Well, I mean, we want to make including mine or other business partner. We have to do our living. We are not millionaires. We are not rich. So we have to do our living. But still, I think if we work well now, I think we will have a retirement.
Akio, I think it's better if you turn the camera off.
Okay, just a second. I turn it off.
Yeah, the sound's better with the camera off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's perfect. So
yep.
I think the idea of having a good retirement plan is to work well now. And so if we work well now, we probably will be well off in 20 years' time. So, and all the artists too. So we rather do very responsible to manage their career, to see the whole process, to have all series, and you know, placing at least 20% of the sales are for museums. We try not to put anything in the secondary market directly. We try to direct all the sales to very, very strong collectors, even not so rich collectors that they have to pay in 10 installments. You know, some of them have a budget of $1,500 per month to pay. We'd rather send or sell to him other than sell to someone that will not correspond to as an ambassador of the art piece and the artist. Just to be clear on this point, if I have a work by, I don't know, Chiara Banfi, for example, and there is a guy who really loves that piece, he wants to paint 10 times, I'd rather pay and give 15% discount. I'd rather sell to him and not to sell to a banker or a guy from the finances world. And because the guy will not even remember my artist's name or the title of the piece. He's so eager just to buy and to have some blue chips in his wall, but he doesn't really understand anything about what he's buying. He's not going to work as an ambassador for that piece. So I'd rather sell to this professor who will pay that work in 15 times or 10 times installment. So I don't know if it answers your question.
No, let's open this up to some questions from people in the part of the course. If some of you have questions of Akio, let's ask them. I have a question. Are all of your artists happy with your gallery policy, or do some of them want the money now and not later?
No, they are quite happy. We never, no one left the gallery since 2002, since we opened, except one, but it was from both sides. We were not getting on well, but it was a more personal thing other than sales matter. But no one left us since the beginning, because we are quite open and we are quite honest on that. Sometimes, of course, they you know, the other 40% may say, oh, I don't know, we would rather have a $10,000 now, but they never told me that, not even to any of my partners. So I think they are quite happy.
I hope so. That sounds, I would be. Any of you guys have questions that you want to ask Akio? I don't see any hands up. I have a question. Here's a question from Sabine in Germany. Go ahead, Sabine.
Hi, Akio. I just had a quick look at your website. I just had a quick look at your website and all your artists, and it's really beautiful work that you're representing. So you were representing videos, installations, abstract art, and conceptual art, but no figurative art in painting. Is there a reason for that?
Hi, Sabine. Thank you for your words. Yes, it's quite accurate. We don't do much of painting because I think I don't know anything about painting, much of painting, and my colleagues also doesn't. We don't have that client. We have a more specialized galleries like Triangle Gallery and Fortes Vilaça. They both are better in representing painting. We don't, which is funny. A lot of people, because in Brazil we are quite famous, and a lot of people come to the gallery to see works and to buy art, trying to buy art, but then they see and they say, well, you don't have any painting. And it's true, we don't have it. So a lot of people go back home without buying anything because we don't have painting. and I don't know if it's, I don't know why. To tell you the truth, I don't know why. But we don't. I mean, I know that we don't understand, but all the artists, they don't present us also painting. I don't know, except Dora Longo Bahia, which is a painter. But she also does videos, and she also does photographs. She's not a painter. So yes, you're very correct, Sabine. Very, very precise and very correct. We don't do paintings.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Brian, go ahead, Brian.
Hi, yeah, I was just wondering, how often do you really like an artist's work, but you realize it wouldn't really fit into what your gallery shows, so you end up setting up with someone else, or just having to pass?
Sorry, I think I didn't hear well. Sorry, Brian.
The question is, once you begin a relationship with an artist, does it end, or how do the relationships work so well? What do you do before the relationship starts to make sure that it's going to be a successful relationship?
Well, I think the representation is like a marriage. You have to start first before getting engaged. I think there is always a test drive or a free, I don't know, trial or something. What we try to do is we talk, and then we talk, and we go to have dinners. We talk. We see shows together. We see. It's a very, very long process. It usually takes more than a year, nearly 2 years. So now we are like flirting an Argentinian artist called Amalia Pica. And I met her in New Museum, in New York once. And this was, I don't know, was it 2 years ago or something? You know, a lot of talks, a lot of pictures. You know, I like the piece, but it's not just about seeing the piece and enjoying the piece. I think we have to have a very good connection, so that when I explained that I didn't sell to this guy because of this, to this collector, but I sold to the other collector, she can be very confident, and then, you know, and we can have a very honest relationship on that. I don't know, Brian, if this helps you, but we have to have a very strong relationship in that sense, because we are committed to make a good career, and committed to sell pieces to collectors who are patrons of museums, who have very, very good collections. We try not, so all these, we have to go together to sell this to these guys. I mean, I cannot sell alone, and then they say, oh, but why did you give 10% to this collector, or why you didn't sell to this guy? So it's a long, really long process, I think. It's more to do with relationship with the artist and not representing him. That's why I think it might take a longer time, I think. But then all the relationships last longer. So I think it's good for both sides, for both the artist and the gallery. I don't know if it helps you, Brian. Sorry.
Yeah. Have you ever liked an artist's work so much that you didn't like the artist at all, and you just thought, ah, whatever, I'll pretend to like the artist and use their work anyway?
I don't know, because this is quite difficult. It's like, I don't know, I don't have a son or a daughter, but I would say it might be the same. I mean, it's very, very difficult to choose one, or you know, say that you prefer your daughter dressed like this or dressed like this. It's quite difficult for me, maybe because I have Asian background, but it's very difficult to judge. So I don't know, Brian, how to answer that. Also, because of my background, probably, I am more rational when I see art. So probably one of my partners, especially Edu, who is also more enthusiastic and more Latin American in that sense, I think he could go crazy and wild by watching an art piece, while I don't. I'm quite honest. I have to see the curriculum. I have to see the background. I have to see so many details and things that probably I won't be going mad. I wish I could, Brian. To tell you the truth, I wish, and I'm being very, very honest. I wish I could be that passionate about things, but I'm not. That's why I think I can be very mean in discounts, because I don't get passionate to that collector or to that artist. I can just say, no, unfortunately, I cannot give you more than 10%. I don't know.
Thank you.
I don't know.
That's cool, man. I think the gallery needs somebody like you. I don't think everybody should be like you, but I think the gallery needs somebody like you. Hi, Madeline. Go ahead and ask your question, Madeline.
Yes, Akio, do you think your treatment of the artists is it typical of other galleries in your country, Brazil, the way you treat your artists?
I'm sorry. I think the voice just cut it through the phone. Sorry. Would you mind repeating, Madeline?
I'll answer it. I'll ask it again. I think maybe you already asked it to answer, but the question is the way that your gallery treats your artist similar to the way other Brazilian galleries treat their artists?
Oh, all right. Okay. I think all the gallery has its own identity. For us, it's very, very important, the closeness and the career for that. And and of course, I think 80%, and don't think of it, they try to sell it as fast as they can. And I think it's a privilege for us, so I could never say they are wrong or they are right, because I think it's unfair. Everyone has to pay their bills, and we were lucky to have very, very strong collectors who believe in our work and then has been buying from us for a very long time. So, fortunately, they are rich enough. So every year when we raise prices, they keep following us and they don't leave us. So, so I have to thank all the collectors and the museums who buy art and the artists. But I would not say that the other galleries are right or wrong when they try to sell art pieces more than to choose collectors. I don't know if I answer your questions, but I don't want to be mean to anyone, to all the other galleries that have to sell it, because fortunately we own the space. We don't pay rent. So in all the 1,400 square meters that we have, it's owned by us. So somehow it works a lot for us to be more calm and make a better business for both artists and collectors. So I don't know if it answers your question, but of course in Brazil a lot of galleries have to sell a lot, and they don't have the way to do it quite easier than us.
Cool. I've learned a lot tonight. Maybe we should wrap this up. Does anybody else have another question that I'd like to ask before we stop? I don't see any more hands. You can unmute yourself or raise your hand if you've got a question.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Sri.
Yeah, I just want to know what kind of gets artists on your radar when you're looking at new people that are emerging.
Let me re-ask that for you. Akio, the question is twofold, I think. How do artists get, I mean, I guess the first part of the question is how many new artists have you taken on in the last year or two? And how does a new artist, you know, how does somebody get on your radar? How does somebody get your attention before you go through the the year-long process of making a final decision? How do artists get on your radar in the first place?
Well, when I go, I travel quite a lot to see shows, and sometimes I say, well, this is quite nice, and I'm usually with a curator or a friend, and I usually ask them also, do you know this guy? What is this work about? And then, or someone introduce us to the artists, and then we talk. And then I don't decide myself alone. So what we do is I say, oh, that's very good, and then I take cards or you know, I take a photo of the name. I come back to the gallery, and I Google it. I try to see other works. I talk to my partners. I don't know. I think it's quite, you know, there is sometimes it. I think it's, you know, it's meeting a chance. I think I don't go after. We receive a lot of portfolios, a lot. Per week, but it's very different when we go to the, I don't know, to the Lyon Biennale, to the Istanbul Biennale, or to see shows in museums or in art galleries, and then you see someone interesting, you know, there is something that says, it's quite nice. It would fit in the program of the gallery. You know, and then you think, the second step is to think of the artist, how it is, and we always end up meeting them somewhere in the world, during the art fairs or during exhibitions or openings. And then we go on very well, fun, we have fun. I think it's important to have fun. It's not just a business relationship, it's a partnership, and then we do all the process of 1 year or 2 years process of getting closer and to check works. I don't know, it's really by chance. Rare. It's quite rare to just get the portfolio in the gallery through email. I don't know. For us, it didn't work well in that sense. It was more seeing shows together, having a pizza. I don't know. I don't know if it helps you. My answer. It's quite vague, and so I'm sorry to be so vague. But it's so weird. The process is not, oh, I have a very good business opportunity because, you know, I have a client for this piece or for that piece. May I represent you? It's not so much in that way we work with artists. So I don't know if I answer your question. I'm sorry.
I know, I think it makes sense, and I think it fits in with the other things that you've been saying, and I find it a really beautiful kind of a model, and I'm thrilled that it's working. I wish more galleries would, you know, have that kind of passion for the art and not just for the commerce, and I think that it's really good. I think we should wrap this up. Akio, I appreciate, you know, you getting through the technical difficulties, and I appreciate you sharing all this information. I think it's okay. And I'm unmuting everybody. Akio, thank you very much. I appreciate all your insights. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And sorry for my, although I look Asian, I'm very bad in technology. So it takes me like 20 minutes to set up things. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Sri, Sabine, and all.